Imagine stepping into the cockpit of this massive commercial airliner.
Right, like a huge jumbo jet.
Yeah, exactly. You sit down in the captain's chair, and you're getting ready to fly this incredibly complex machine, right?
Okay.
But instead of, one unified, beautifully designed control panel in front of you, you're just staring at, I don't know, 20 different tablets, and they're all just duct taped to the dashboard.
Wow. Duct tape tablets, that sounds terrifying.
It is. And none of them are connected to the same network.
Oh, of course not.
Right. So the tablet that's tracking your fuel consumption, it it doesn't have the capacity to communicate with the tablet tracking your altitude.
So they're completely isolated.
Completely. And then, the navigation tablet is running some operating system from like 2015.
Oh, man.
And the tablet controlling the landing gear just inexplicably froze.
So you're basically flying blind.
You are entirely flying blind. You're stressed out, trying to manually cross-reference all these conflicting data sets while hurtling through the air at like 500 miles an hour.
Yeah, that sounds like a total nightmare scenario for a pilot.
Well, the thing is, that scenario is hitting entirely too close to home for anyone trying to run a modern enterprise right now.
Oh, for sure. It really is.
So today, for you listening, we are unpacking this platform called 24x7Retail.ai. We really want to see exactly how they're, untaping those disparate iPads.
Oh, this is ripping off the duct tape, basically.
Exactly. Ripping off the tape and building a single unified operating system for modern business.
And we're going to use this platform today kind of as a lens, right? To examine the mechanics of how the most foundational, honestly, the most friction-heavy problems of business operations are actually being solved today.
Yeah, so, okay, let's unpack this. The core premise we are dealing with here is that running a business today almost universally involves juggling a dozen different applications that just utterly refuse to speak to each other.
They refuse, yeah. We're looking at what the source material correctly identifies as the fundamental retail and operational challenge.
Right.
Businesses are just suffocating under the weight of fragmented operations.
Yeah, it's so common.
It's the standard setup, honestly. It's like a patchwork quilt.
Yeah.
A company will have, one software vendor providing their POS, their point of sale.
The cash registers, basically.
Exactly. But then they have another entirely different vendor managing the back-end inventory.
Okay, so already two systems.
Right. And then their accounting team, they're exporting these massive CSV files into a third program.
Oh, the dreaded CSV export.
It's the worst. And meanwhile, the CRM, the customer relationship management, is isolated on a fourth platform entirely.
It really is the Frankenstein software problem.
That's a great way to put it.
Because you are basically trying to build this cohesive business by, stitching together an arm from one vendor.
Right, a leg from another.
Yeah. Maybe a brain from a third vendor.
Yeah.
And then you're standing back wondering why your monster is so clumsy and keeps bumping into the furniture.
And knocking everything over.
Yeah.
Yeah. The symptoms of this Frankenstein approach, they go far beyond just being annoying for the IT department.
Absolutely. It's not just a tech issue.
No, not at all. When you examine the mechanics of it, the primary casualty here is data integrity.
Data integrity, meaning
when information is locked in these separate, disconnected schemas, you suffer from a severe lack of real-time insights.
Because they can't talk to each other fast enough.
Right. Think about how these legacy systems communicate. They usually rely on these really fragile API bridges, or, honestly, what's even worse is batch processing.
Oh, right. Batch processing.
Yeah, where the POS might only push the sales data to the inventory database once every 24 hours, usually at midnight.
Wow. Okay, so which means any decision that a manager makes at, say, 2:00 p.m. on a Tuesday
is based on old data.
It's based on data that is already obsolete by 14 hours. If you are waiting until the end of the month to see if a specific product line is actually turning a profit,
or even just waiting until the next morning to realize your warehouse is entirely out of a top-selling item,
the market has already moved past you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're steering the ship by looking exclusively in the rearview mirror.
That's exactly it. And that lag, that delay, is what destroys rapid response capability in modern retail.
Yeah, you just can't pivot.
You can't. If your systems don't share a unified data lake, things like dynamic pricing and intelligent forecasting are just structurally impossible.
You don't have the foundation for it.
Not to mention the sheer bloat of overhead. I mean, think about it. You're managing multiple vendor contracts,
Paying 5 different subscriptions.
coordinating completely disparate maintenance schedules.
Oh,
You're constantly battling tech debt.
and trying to onboard staff, right?
Oh, the onboarding. You have to train new employees across 5 fundamentally different user interfaces.
Yeah, that training aspect alone is a massive hidden cost that I think people
Let's say
ignore.
it's huge cost.
A new hire comes in, and they have to learn the idiosyncratic language of like 5 different software environments just to execute a basic customer transaction and restock a shelf.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is. But if we pull back for a second, I think the interesting question for you listening is why this fragmentation becomes the default state for almost every growing business.
That's a good point.
Because no executive wakes up on a Tuesday and maliciously decides to build a chaotic, disjointed tech stack.
Right. Nobody sets out to make a Frankenstein monster.
Exactly. So why does it happen?
Well, it happens through reactive, piecemeal purchasing.
Reactive purchasing. Okay.
Companies buy software one crisis at a time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So a retailer experiences a huge surge in holiday foot traffic, right? And the cash register crashes.
Panic mode.
Total panic. So they immediately procure a shiny new POS system. Crisis solved.
For the moment.
Right. But then 6 months later, the warehouse manager resigns because the stockroom is an absolute disaster.
So they panic buy an inventory tool.
Exactly. They go out and buy a standalone inventory management tool. It is always a reaction to the loudest, immediate pain point.
Rather than having a proactive architectural strategy from day one.
Precisely.
And so this is precisely where the 24x7 Retail.ai architecture steps in to disrupt that whole reactive cycle.
Yeah, it's a complete paradigm shift.
Because they position their solution not merely as, another piece of software to add to the pile.
Right, not just another tablet on the dashboard.
Right. They position it as an intelligent business operating system.
An OS for the whole business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the standout feature here, at least from looking at the materials, it isn't just the sheer breadth of the capabilities, though there are a lot of them.
There are, like 19 modules.
Yeah, 19 modules.
Yeah.
But the real standout is the underlying claim of a single architecture.
Yes.
Every single function is built on the exact same foundational code base.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that phrase, single architecture, is the linchpin of the entire platform.
Why is that so crucial?
Because the advantage of a unified ecosystem fundamentally changes the mechanics of data flow.
Right.
Because every function, from the cash register out front to the ledger in accounting to the warehouse in the back, they're all drawing from and writing to the exact same database simultaneously.
So there's no lag.
Data consistency is absolute. The whole concept of synchronization disappears.
Because there's nothing to sync. It's already there.
Exactly. There is nothing to sync. It is all one living ecosystem.
Man. So, okay, let's visualize this. When a customer walks in and buys a bottle of water at the front register,
Right.
the database instantly deducts that one unit from the inventory.
Instantly.
The financial ledger instantly recognizes that, say, $2 of revenue.
Yep.
And then the marketing engine instantly logs that this specific loyalty member prefers this specific brand of water.
All in the same millisecond.
There is zero latency.
Zero.
Yeah.
No midnight batch processing.
No API bridges breaking because one vendor updated their software over the weekend and forgot to tell the other vendor.
Right, which happens all the time. But here, you transition from what is essentially a fragmented, delayed autopsy of your business performance.
An autopsy, that's a great word for it.
Right. You move from that to a holistic, real-time pulse.
A pulse, I like that.
And this structural shift is what enables a business to pivot from merely tracking what happened in the past to actively managing the present.
Actively managing the present. Okay, so let's transition from the theoretical architecture to the physical reality on the ground.
Okay, let's do it.
Because I want to know where this unified approach actually saves a manager's sanity on a random Tuesday afternoon.
Real-world application. I love it.
Yeah. Let's look at the heartbeat of any physical operation, which is centralizing inventory and payroll.
The big two.
Right. If the foundation is solid, the next bottleneck is physical. Like, how do you stop bleeding money in the stockroom and on the employee schedule?
Well, looking at the source material, the platform's approach to the inventory lifecycle, which is Module 5, it's incredibly rigorous.
Okay, how so?
It handles the entire journey of a physical item. We are talking about the mechanics of receiving stock at the loading dock, executing rolling stock takes without actually having to shut down your operations for the day.
Oh, that's huge. Having to close the stored account inventory is the worst.
It's awful. And it also handles complex stock transfers between regional warehouses, plus all the granular details of supplier portals and purchase orders.
Goal in Module 5.
Right. But where it gets particularly sophisticated, I think, is how it categorizes wastage.
Wastage. Okay, yeah, because all wastage is not created equal, right?
Not at all.
Like knowing that you threw away 20 units of produce,
Yeah.
that's a very basic data point.
Right. It tells you what you lost, but not why.
Exactly. Knowing that you threw away 10 units because they were completely bruised upon delivery from a specific supplier
Right.
versus throwing away 10 units that expired sitting on the shelf because of poor demand forecasting.
Yeah.
Those dictate entirely different strategic reactions from management.
Completely different. One is a supply chain vendor issue. You need to yell at the guy delivering bruised apples.
Right. Get a refund.
Exactly. But the other one is a marketing and purchasing issue. You bought too many apples because you thought you'd sell them and you didn't.
And a unified system allows you to immediately cross-reference that specific wastage data against your supplier performance metrics or your historical sales trends.
Yes. Furthermore, the platform goes really deep into production mechanics.
Production mechanics.
Yeah, it doesn't just track finished goods. It handles complex bills of materials.
Okay, wait. Let's pause on the bill of materials concept because I feel like that is where the single architecture really flexes its muscles.
It really is.
Like, let's say I run a high-volume burger franchise, right?
Okay, a burger joint.
I'm not just tracking the sale of a cheeseburger as one single abstract item on a spreadsheet.
No, you are tracking the constituent raw materials.
Right.
When the POS out front rings up that cheeseburger, the system doesn't just log $10 in revenue.
What does it do?
It reaches deep into the inventory ledger instantly, and it deducts 1 sesame seed bun, 1 beef patty, a fraction of an ounce of ketchup, 2 pickles, and 1 slice of American cheese.
Wow. In real time.
In real time.
Which means the purchasing manager sitting in the back office, they aren't just guessing when they need to order more pickles.
We don't have to go count the pickle buckets.
Right. The Zister knows the exact depletion rate of raw materials based on real-time front-of-house sales.
And it dynamically updates the purchasing queue.
That's incredible. And everything flows back to what the platform refers to as the central configuration hub, right?
Yes, Module 3, the Masters module.
The Masters module. It's the single source of truth for pricing, variance, tax codes, product DNA.
And maintaining that single source of truth is just critical.
Because if you don't have it,
if your pricing logic lives in one system, say at headquarters, and your POS system lives in another environment out in the stores,
you run into sync issues.
Constant sync issues. You run the constant risk of cashiers ringing up items at legacy prices because the API sync failed overnight.
So they're selling things at last week's sale price.
Exactly, your bleeding margin.
Yeah.
But when the configuration hub is native to the ecosystem, a price change enacted at headquarters instantly propagates across every single terminal.
In every region.
Seamlessly.
Okay, that structural integrity makes total sense for inventory and pricing. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But let me push back on another core feature of this platform here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because the documentation heavily emphasizes fully integrated payroll.
Module 12.
Yeah, attendance tracking, expense claims, all living within this exact same software suite.
Right.
But traditionally, human resources and operations are treated as completely distinct universes.
Very true.
I mean, why force the employee time clock and the payroll run into the exact same ecosystem as the cash register and the warehouse inventory? Isn't that just complicating things?
It's a really common hesitation, actually, for executives who are accustomed to those legacy silos.
Because HR is HR, right?
Right, but keeping labor separate from operations is a massive strategic error.
Really?
Think about it. Labor is arguably the largest variable expense for any physical business.
That's true.
When payroll, which includes staff shifts, their physical logins at the POS terminal, their hourly rates, when all of that lives in the exact same database as your real-time revenue and your inventory data,
Oh, I see where this is going.
you unlock a level of margin control that is otherwise completely impossible.
Because you can map your labor costs directly against your revenue generation by the hour.
By the minute, really. Consider the Friday night rush at a high-volume restaurant.
Okay.
Under a fragmented system, the general manager might feel like the night was really profitable.
Because the dining room was packed, everyone's running around, it feels busy.
Exactly. It feels like they made money. But to actually verify that profitability,
Yeah, what's the process?
they have to export a CSV file from the POS on Monday morning. Email it to the accounting department, wait for them to cross-reference those sales figures with a completely separate time clock application from HR.
And calculate all the overtime pay that kicked in at like 9:00 p.m. for the kitchen staff.
Exactly.
By the time they realized that they had, 3 too many servers on the floor.
Yeah, and that those labor costs completely cannibalized the profit margin for the last 2 hours of the shift.
It's already Wednesday.
It's Wednesday and the money is gone.
Wow.
But with the unified architecture of 24x7 Retail, the manager can look at a dashboard on their tablet at 9:30 p.m. on that Friday night.
While the shift is happening.
While it's happening. And they can see that labor costs have crossed a dangerous threshold of profitability relative to the real-time ticket volume coming through the POS.
So they see that sales are dipping, but labor costs are staying high.
Right. And they can make an immediate data-driven decision right then and there to cut 2 servers and send them home.
Thus preserving the night's margin.
Exactly. It eliminates the administrative nightmare of retroactive reconciliation.
That's incredibly powerful, but it goes beyond just scheduling, right?
Yeah.
What happens when you combine staff attendance data with, say, granular inventory tracking?
Oh, this is where it gets really forensic. You start to uncover operational patterns that a single system report would completely obscure.
Like what?
Let's look at shrinkage.
Unexplained inventory loss.
Right, basically theft or undocumented waste. If your inventory system is constantly reporting low stock alerts that don't match your sales volume, you have a shrinkage problem.
Stuff is disappearing.
Exactly. Now, when that inventory data shares a unified environment with the staff attendance and the POS login records,
The platform can highlight correlations.
yes, you might discover that the inventory variance spikes specifically on Tuesday evenings.
Okay.
You can then instantly cross-reference which exact staff members are logged into the terminals and managing the stockroom during those specific Tuesday shifts.
Wow. So it provides forensic operational visibility.
Absolutely. You are breaking down the artificial wall between who is working and what is selling.
Or what is going missing in this case.
Exactly.
So centralizing all of this data is obviously incredibly powerful for knowing exactly what happened yesterday and commanding what is happening right this very second.
Right.
But, centralized data is essentially just a very organized filing cabinet.
True.
How does this architecture actually help a business predict tomorrow?
Well, that transitions us perfectly from data collection to data activation.
Data activation.
Specifically through the platform's AI and predictive analytics engine.
Section V in the source material.
Yes. See, centralized, pristine data isn't just a fancy reporting tool. It is the absolute prerequisite for artificial intelligence to function effectively.
Because if you feed it bad data,
You cannot train an AI on fragmented, delayed, or contradictory data schemas.
because the AI will just confidently output garbage.
Confidently wrong. Exactly.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. This system isn't just offering static reports. It is running an AI engine to dynamically forecast sales, inventory needs, and market demand.
Yeah, modules 15, 10, and 17 all touch on this.
But I want to move away from the magic wand trope of AI for a second.
Let's do.
Because it isn't a mystical oracle, right? It's more akin to a world-class card counter at a blackjack table.
Oh, that is an excellent framework for understanding the mechanism.
Right. Because a card counter isn't using magic. They are just holding a massive amount of historical data in their working memory and calculating the shifting probabilities of the next card based on exactly what has already been played.
That's exactly what the AI is doing.
And the faster and more accurately it can process that data, the safer their next bet becomes.
Spot on. We are witnessing a fundamental industry shift here from descriptive analytics to actionable intelligence.
Okay, unpack that for us. Descriptive versus actionable.
Well, descriptive analytics is essentially the autopsy report we talked about earlier.
Right.
It tells you that last week, during a massive rainstorm, you ran out of umbrellas by noon.
Okay.
And consequently, you lost out on 50 potential sales.
Which is an interesting historical footnote, but strategically useless because the storm is already over.
The ground is dry. You can't go back in time.
Right. So what does actionable intelligence look like?
Actionable intelligence, which is driven by the AI forecasting built into this platform, functions completely differently.
Okay.
It ingests the historical sales data, so it knows you sold out of umbrellas the last time it rained.
Yep.
But it also integrates with external data variables like local weather forecasts,
Oh, wow.
and then it cross-references that with the current stock levels in your warehouse.
So instead of telling you that you failed last week,
Right.
the system flags a dashboard on Thursday warning you that there's an 80% chance of rain projected for the coming Tuesday.
Yes.
It notes that your current umbrella stock is insufficient based on your historical conversion rates during precipitation.
And it automatically drafts a purchase order for the exact optimal quantity to capture that projected demand without overstocking. Exactly. It shifts the entire burden of complex correlation from the human manager to the machine.
That is wild.
The AI calculates the probabilities and presents the human with an optimized decision. You just have to click approve.
And this predictive capability isn't just confined to retail inventory on a shelf.
No, not at all.
Because the architecture applies this same logic across entirely different operational modalities, like field sales automation in Module 10.
Yes, Salesforce automation.
I was actually going to ask about that.
Yeah.
Because if I have a fleet of wholesale sales reps driving across the state visiting clients,
That's right.
how does a centralized algorithm impact dynamic routing? We aren't just talking about basic GPS directions here, are we?
No, we are talking about intent-driven optimized routing.
Intent-driven routing.
Yeah, a legacy system might just map the shortest physical distance between 10 clients.
The standard Google Maps stuff.
Exactly. But an AI-driven unified platform understands the underlying business context of those clients.
Because it has all the CRM data.
Yes. It analyzes the purchasing history of those specific clients. It knows that, say, client A hasn't placed an order in their usual 30-day cycle and is at high risk of churning.
Okay.
While client B just received a massive shipment yesterday and likely doesn't need a visit at all right now.
So the system actively prioritizes the sales rep's physical driving route based on the highest probability of revenue generation and relationship retention.
Exactly.
Rather than just geographical convenience.
Right. The rep isn't wasting gas visiting a saturated client. They are directed to the exact account where human intervention is mathematically most critical that day.
That is just brilliant. And we see this same predictive philosophy applied to consumer interactions too, right? Through what the platform defines as smart shopping capabilities in Module 17.
Yes, absolutely. The modern consumer fundamentally expects a hyper-personalized experience nowadays.
They really do. If
Okay.
it's not personalized, they bounce.
Right. And if an ecosystem manages both the CRM and the e-commerce portal in the same breath,
The AI can analyze individual browsing habits.
then past purchase history and seasonal trends, and it uses all of that to predict what they call shopping intents.
Shopping intents. So it can dynamically alter the digital storefront for that specific user,
Yes.
surfacing recommendations that align with their highly specific, mathematically predicted desires before they even search for them.
It knows what you want before you type it in the search bar.
But the critical piece of this entire AI backend is the learning curve, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. These AI models are constantly ingesting new operational data.
Right. Which creates a compounding competitive advantage.
It really does. Because think about most traditional software, it depreciates.
Yeah, it gets old.
The day you install a legacy ERP is the absolute best it will ever run. From that point forward, it gathers tech debt, it becomes clunky, and it slowly falls behind the market.
But a system powered by machine learning actually appreciates in value.
Precisely.
The longer you use it, the better it gets.
The longer an enterprise runs on this single architecture, the more granular that data lake becomes.
So the AI learns the highly specific seasonal spikes of, say, a single neighborhood branch.
Yes. Or the unique purchasing quirks of a specific demographic. Or the exact supply chain latency of a specific regional vendor.
Wow.
The business's own operational history literally transforms into an insurmountable competitive moat.
Nobody else has your specific data history, so nobody else's AI can run your business better than your AI.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that this unified architecture, powered by a predictive AI engine, can optimize a single complex operation flawlessly.
Right.
You have immaculate data integrity, dynamic inventory control, and a system constantly calculating the smartest next move.
It's humming along perfectly.
But naturally, if a business achieves that level of operational excellence, growth is inevitable.
You're going to expand.
Right. So what happens when the enterprise needs to scale? What happens when store number 1 expands to store number 20, or you start crossing state lines or spinning off entirely new brands?
Well, scalability is historically the point of catastrophic failure for legacy software.
Because it just breaks under the weight.
Exactly. When a system is duct taped together from the start, adding the complexity of multiple new locations usually breaks those fragile API bridges entirely.
But the architecture we're examining, 24x7 Retail, it approaches multi-location management natively. Module 16, right?
Yes. It manages staff schedules, shift rotations, and localized inventory variations across vast geographical branches, all from a single top-down interface.
But as that footprint expands, security and access control become massive liabilities.
Oh, huge.
I mean, you can't have a localized cashier at a branch in Chicago accidentally executing a system-wide override that deletes the pricing schema for the entire East Coast region.
No, that would be a disaster.
No.
Which is why granular role-based permissions are foundational here, not an afterthought.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
The architecture ensures that, say, a regional manager sees the comprehensive data for their specific territory,
Makes sense.
but a localized warehouse employee, they only see the receiving queue for their specific loading dock.
So they can't mess up anything else.
Right. Meanwhile, the executive suite maintains an unobstructed, real-time macro view of the entire empire.
That's the control you need. But what's fascinating here is that the true genius of this scalability isn't just adding more of the same stores, is it?
No, not at all.
It's the platform's ability to cross entirely different industry verticals.
Yes. Section 3 of the source material.
Because the documentation lists a wildly diverse array of industries supported by this platform.
It really does.
You've got general retail, massive supermarkets, fashion boutiques.
Right.
But then it pivots to food and beverage, and even more complex, hospitality like hotels and resorts.
Yeah.
Then it lists service and repair centers, like auto mechanics, alongside field sales and complex wholesale supply chains.
That breadth of application is where we really have to examine the concept of a cloud-native modular architecture.
Well, I have to play the skeptic here for a second.
Go for it.
If a software platform claims it can flawlessly run a 300-room luxury hotel, an auto repair shop replacing transmissions, and a high-volume supermarket, doesn't that inherently make it a jack of all trades and a master of none?
It sounds like it would, right?
Yeah. How can one single architectural code base genuinely handle a mechanic-specific part replacement workflow while simultaneously handling a hotel's night audit and room upgrade matrix? The operational workflows seem entirely unrelated.
It is the most vital question to ask when evaluating enterprise software of this scale, and the answer lies in separating the engine from the chassis.
Engine and chassis. Okay, break that down.
Think of the core underlying database, the financial ledger, the raw mathematical calculations, the employee tracking, the basic inventory deduction logic. Think of all that as the highly advanced engine of a vehicle.
Yep, the engine block.
That foundation is mathematically identical across all industries.
Because at a foundational level, math is math. A credit on a financial ledger follows the exact same accounting rules, whether the revenue was generated by selling a hotel suite for the night or selling a set of spark plugs.
Yes, the core engine never changes. What changes are the user-facing operational modules that snap onto that engine.
The chassis.
The chassis. The platform is designed so an enterprise only activates the modules relevant to their specific workflow.
Oh, I see.
If you are a mechanic, you snap on the service and repair module to manage bays and vehicle histories.
Right. Yeah.
If you are a hotel, you snap on the hospitality module.
Okay, let's dive deeper into that hospitality application in Module 9, because running a hotel is notoriously complex from a software perspective.
It really is.
How does this single architecture actually solve the friction points that plague traditional hotel management systems?
Well, the quintessential nightmare in hospitality tech is the integration between the PMS, the property management system, and the various localized POS systems running the lobby bar, the restaurant, and the spa.
Right. Because traditionally, these are entirely separate systems attempting to communicate over a local network.
Exactly.
So let's say a guest goes to the high-end restaurant on the ground floor. They order a $200 dinner and ask to charge it to room 402.
Okay.
The restaurant POS has to package that data, send it across a digital bridge to the hotel's main PMS database, and hope it attaches to the correct guest folio.
And that data hop fails constantly.
Constantly.
The network drops or the API times out, and the charge just sits in a digital limbo.
Which is a nightmare.
Right, because when the guest checks out the next morning, the front desk doesn't see the dinner charge.
So the guest leaves, and the hotel eats a $200 loss.
Or even worse, the front desk has to frantically call the restaurant manager to manually verify the receipts, while the guest stands there growing furious because they're going to miss their flight.
So awkward. And it also makes complex split billing, where one guest pays for the room but another pays for the incidentals, an absolute nightmare.
It really does. But in a unified modular architecture, there is no data hop.
Because the restaurant POS and the hotel PMS are writing to the exact same central ledger simultaneously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the server taps charge to room 402 on their terminal, it instantaneously updates the central database.
So the front desk sees it globally without a millisecond of latency.
Right. Furthermore, this architecture natively solves the external integration nightmare of OTAs.
Online travel agencies like Expedia or Booking.com.
Yes. They are constantly pushing XML data regarding availability and reservations into the hotel system.
Which often creates massive reconciliation headaches, double bookings, and all that.
Right. But by handling the OTA integrations directly within the central configuration hub, the platform ensures that room availability is updated in real time across the globe.
Instantly adjusting dynamic pricing based on inventory.
Yes, and completely preventing the catastrophic double bookings that happen when a standalone booking engine fails to sync with a standalone desk terminal.
It's just so much cleaner. And this modular approach essentially future-proofs the business model, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because imagine a successful boutique hotel that decides, hey, we want to open a retail gift shop in the lobby.
Or launch a fleet of delivery vehicles for their restaurant.
Right. With legacy systems, the IT department would have to go out and procure 3 entirely new software packages and spend months trying to force them to communicate with the hotel PMS.
Total headache. But with 24x7 Retail, the infrastructure's already there. They simply activate the retail module or the route planning module.
And the new workflows immediately flow into the existing financial ledger, the existing HR database, and the existing AI forecasting engine.
It drastically lowers the barrier to expansion. It allows executives to pivot their business model without ripping out their foundational tech stack.
We have covered a massive amount of operational ground today.
We really have.
We've explored the deep mechanics of the modules, the AI predictive backend, the real-time financial syncing, and the massive multi-location scalability.
The whole ecosystem.
But I want to pivot to the final and arguably the most vital question for the humans actually operating this machinery.
Yeah.
How does a human manager interface with this relentless tsunami of data without suffering complete cognitive overload?
This is a very fair question.
Because having millions of perfect data points is totally useless if it just induces paralysis.
That is the ultimate challenge of the big data era, honestly. Gathering the data is only half the battle.
Right.
Surfacing the relevant insights to the right human at the exact right moment, that is the real test of a platform.
So how does 24x7 Retail do it?
The system addresses this through the command center architecture, which is Module 18, supported by a highly customizable dashboarding in Module 1, and integrated productivity tools in Module 19.
The documentation describes the command center as providing a centralized, real-time operational view with critical alerts.
Yes.
It functions much like the dashboard of a highly advanced electric vehicle.
Oh, let's explore that analogy. How does that map to the user experience here?
Well, think about it. Underneath the floorboards of a modern EV, there are thousands of incredibly complex chemical and mechanical processes occurring simultaneously, right?
Right.
There are thermal management algorithms routing coolant to specific battery cells, kinetic energy recovery systems, calculating friction coefficients during braking, deeply complex physics that I, as the driver, could never process in real time.
No, you'd crash the car if you tried.
Exactly. But I don't see any of that raw data. I look at a sleek, minimalist screen that distills all of that complexity into exactly what I need to know in that precise second.
My current speed, my remaining battery range.
And maybe a bright red visual alert if a tire suddenly loses pressure.
That perfectly encapsulates the philosophy of the command center.
Really?
Yes. The true value of this integrated system is that the AI and the unified database do all the heavy lifting in the background. The manager isn't staring at endless rows of raw data.
Thank goodness.
Through customizable widgets, the system distills the complexity based on the specific user's role.
So if I am the regional logistics director, my dashboard isn't cluttered with, like, social media marketing metrics.
Not at all. It is highly optimized to show you real-time supply chain bottlenecks, automated purchase orders awaiting your approval, and incoming fleet tracking.
Exactly what I need to do my job.
Exactly. And the critical alert system is the truly transformative element here.
How so?
Because the AI is constantly monitoring the cross-module data, right? It doesn't just passively display information, it actively flags anomalies.
Actively.
Yes. If the system detects that revenue velocity at a specific branch has unexpectedly dropped 20% below the AI-generated forecast for a Tuesday afternoon.
It pushes a critical alert to the regional manager's dashboard instantly.
Instantly.
That capability facilitates a massive psychological shift in leadership.
It really does.
It moves management from a perpetual state of reactive firefighting, constantly running around trying to mitigate damage after the failure has already occurred, to a state of proactive intervention.
You transition from managing the fallout of problems to preventing them entirely.
The documentation emphasizes this shift, doesn't it?
Yes. Proactive problem solving, improved incident response, and a consolidated operational view. You are no longer a victim of operational chaos. You are commanding the environment.
And the platform ensures that once the command center surfaces an insight, the staff has the integrated tools to act on it immediately.
Right, the integrated productivity tools in Module 19.
Like if the command center flags a discrepancy in a warehouse aisle,
The system immediately generates a stock reconciliation workflow.
and routes the task to the mobile device of the specific employee on that floor.
Yes, and allows them to print updated barcodes natively from the same system to correct the physical inventory right then and there.
It closes the loop from high-level insight to granular physical actions seamlessly.
It creates a completely frictionless operational loop. Data generates insight generates an automated workflow, the human executes the workflow.
And the execution feeds new, optimized data back into the AI engine.
Exactly, it's a beautiful cycle.
Well, we are coming to the end of our deep dive today, and it has been an incredibly illuminating journey.
It really has.
We started with the very real, very expensive pain of fragmented Frankenstein software silos. Those systems that refuse to communicate, rely on fragile API bridges, and leave executives steering their companies by looking in the rearview mirror.
And we unpack the mechanics of how a single, unified architecture fundamentally rewrites those rules.
We examined the profound operational advantages of eliminating data latency, allowing for real-time profitability analysis by fusing POS revenue directly with labor cost and granular raw material tracking.
We looked at the mechanics of actionable intelligence, exploring how AI functions less like magic and more like a mathematical card counter.
Right, constantly calculating the safest strategic bets to optimize inventory and prioritize dynamic routing.
We explored the power of a cloud-native modular chassis, allowing businesses to seamlessly snap on highly complex industry workflows.
Like solving the notorious data hop nightmare of hotel OTA integrations.
Right, without ever breaking the underlying financial ledger.
And finally, we saw how the command center distills that massive ecosystem into a highly focused, role-based interface, empowering managers to transition from reactive chaos to proactive, data-driven leadership.
It is a comprehensive blueprint for the future of enterprise management.
It really is.
But, if we take a step back and look beyond the sheer operational efficiency, this level of hyper-optimization raises a pretty profound question about the future of commerce itself.
Oh, this sounds like a fascinating pivot. What are the broader implications of an environment that operates this flawlessly?
Well, we discussed the concept of AI predicting shopping intents before the consumer even initiates a search.
Right.
As these unified platforms become increasingly sophisticated at ingesting behavioral data, environmental factors, and historical patterns, their forecasting will approach absolute certainty.
That's a little scary, but true.
The system will know precisely what we want, the exact moment our psychological friction is lowest, and it will ensure that specific item is flawlessly positioned and perfectly in stock.
Which is an operational triumph for the business, but
But what happens to the concept of serendipity?
serendipity, the joy of discovery.
Yes.
The feeling of just stumbling across something unexpected that delights you.
Exactly. In a hyper-optimized, flawlessly predicted retail reality, where every desire is anticipated and mathematically catered to before we even walk through the door or open the application.
Does the true impulse buy effectively cease to exist?
Right. Are we ever really choosing anything anymore?
Or, perhaps more interestingly, does the AI just become so sophisticated that it learns how to perfectly manufacture the illusion of a spontaneous choice?
Oh, wow.
Like, will that specific candy bar waiting at the checkout counter actually be a random, serendipitous craving? Or was it algorithmically placed in your direct line of sight because the system calculated that you had a high-stress workday, cross-referenced it with a dip in barometric pressure, and knew that historically your probability of purchasing chocolate spikes by 80% under those exact conditions?
It is a phenomenal question.
It really makes you think.
The underlying technology is solving the logistical and operational friction of business perfectly. But in doing so, it is fundamentally altering the psychological architecture of buying and selling.
We are moving from an economy of discovery, to an economy of absolute algorithmic anticipation.
We really are.
And that is a powerful concept for you to mull over as you navigate the commercial landscape this week.
Absolutely.
Whether you are the executive implementing this unified intelligence to command your enterprise, or you're the consumer whose intents are being quietly, flawlessly predicted, the mechanics of the world are changing rapidly.
Very rapidly.
We hope this deep dive gave you the analytical tools you need to cut through the noise and understand the foundational shifts driving that change.
It's been great exploring it.
So the next time you find yourself staring at a dashboard of duct-taped iPads, frustrated by the friction of legacy systems, remember the architecture for a better way to fly the plane already exists. Thank you for joining us. Keep exploring the mechanics behind the curtain, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.